So welcome to my circle. Before I start, I'm calling in our ancestors, I'm calling in our guardians and guides to inspire the session. It's not a very analytical mind session, it's more storytelling and journeying really afterwards. So my name is Wiebke Hansen, and I want to greet you the way people greet each other up here where I'm from, and that is simply by saying Moin. That's how people say hello to each other. I'm living here on my homelands where my ancestors also lived. I'll share a little bit about myself and then my insights around the importance of having a well-aligned mother line, so to speak. So as you heard, I'm German. I lived for 20 years in Italy. I have a business training, mathematics degree, and then in the mid-90s, I started to work in corporations, in IT as a project manager, and later moved to HR as well. And then midlife happens, as it happens for all of us, with some challenges and turbulence. Got a divorce and moved countries and went in search for the meaning of life, really, and was lucky to find teachers of various native wisdom traditions. So I studied with teachers from India, got to know about the chakras and the energy fields, and I met the goddess. And that was really a huge gift from this teaching, the meeting of the feminine aspect of the divine. I grew up Protestant, and we only had a masculine God, and suddenly there's this, wow, women have divine aspects too. That was really already one connection to the feminine power, so to speak. I also studied with teachers of the Americas, so what you might call shamanistic practices, shaman practices. So you see here my drum, and here one of the big gifts was also this understanding that everything holds a soul, everything is of spirit. I can hold a stone in my hand and I can commune with it. I can touch a tree. I can connect to the wind as an element. I can connect to water. Water for me is really the carrier of the consciousness of the planet. And then at a certain point I wondered, I'm studying native traditions of countries that are not my own, not where I come from, and especially in the Native American tradition, in all the traditions really is a strong focus on the ancestors. So who were my ancestors? What is my home tradition, so to speak? And I didn't need to look very far. I live in Schleswig, it's a small town in Jutland, and we have a Viking settling right next to the town. So here, I lived there all my life without being aware of it, that it's really the Norse mythology that is my inner tradition. Odin, Thor, Freya, and really the tools are similar. You have a vision quest in the US and you have Uti Seta in the Norse tradition. Everybody carries, all these traditions have a drum to access non-ordinary reality, which is what we're going to do later as well. So today's topic is mothers. The first time I really started to understand the importance of the mothers was in a session with an astrologer, really. And she intuited something and said, why don't we put these chairs behind you to represent your mothers? So here's your chair that is for you. Here's the chair for your mom, for your grandma. Until we had all the chairs in the room distributed somewhere. And please sit down here. And how do you feel? I just felt like me, because that was the alignment that I was used to. And then she started to shuffle the chairs in an orderly manner. So my mother behind my left shoulder and behind her mom and her mom. So she would really align the chairs that there was no separation. Before, when you had a look at it, it was really, there were a couple of chairs that were more distant from each other than the others. So by aligning them all in the same way, that imagine the wind flows just through these chairs. And when I sat down on my chair again, it was like, oh, this feels different. It was a feeling how the energy from one woman to the next could flow more freely. So then you start wondering how can I improve this? And I guess we have all heard about the mother wound. So you look a lot at you as daughter towards your mother. And I had this very capable mother who was a part-time manager in the 60s already. So I put her on a pedestal, really. She was the perfect mom to which me as daughter could never really reach. Still very positive, very loving, until I started to dig, and there were some things that were not so good. And I live with her now, so there's a daily confrontation with some of the manipulation and criticism that I wasn't even aware of when I was younger. So there's a love and a criticism at the same time, and very easily I think she needs to change. She needs to do things differently so that I feel good. And this rancor against parents, or in this case my mother, had there was a key situation that really shifted it, and it was the moment I started to talk to my daughter. Because I have two daughters, they are in their 20s now. They start to look at their own mother wounds. And suddenly, I am the mother who caused the wounds to my children, which was never my intention, which, life happens. You love your children, you do the best that you can, and still, some of the decisions you take will hurt your children. And it was a great moment of humility towards my parents to say, maybe they didn't know better. With what they knew in that moment, they did the best they could, and still it hurt me. This turning around and looking at my daughter and being the mother, I think that was a key moment to get out of this victim feeling towards my mother. And it's a constant opportunity of growth now to talk to my children and acknowledge all that I may have done wrong. Divorce is always hard on the children, and still you did it at the moment because it seemed to be the best thing to do for me and for the kids. So I discover me, mother, and as causing the mother wound to my daughters. Now, turning around again, looking at my mother, also my mother is a daughter. Also my mother is a daughter from my grandma, who moved her wounds to her daughter, who moved her wounds to me. So discovering my mother as daughter again gives a different kind of humility, really. And you can step out of judgment by doing that. So and I think it's very important this awareness really helped me to move through the anger and the resentment that I held towards my mother. And this is I think it's one of the key, how could you say that? In the wisdom traditions, they also always talk about needing to honor your parents. And if you're really angry at your parents, how can you do that? How can I honor my mother with all that she caused me pain? Well, she is still the person or the soul who agreed to bring you to this earth. All these mothers before you agreed to birthing a daughter so that you can be here today. So that is the kind of honoring, I think, that any mother, how painful the relationship might be, that honoring one can try to reach. So I am, as I said, I'm Wiebke, the daughter of Frauke, the daughter of Katie, the daughter of Alvine, the daughter of Emma. And then I don't know the names anymore, unfortunately. So is there any comments already? Did it touch something in you, some questions? I'm still recording this, so just be aware. If you want to share, otherwise we do that after the drumming. No sharing. Hey Linda, long time no see. Now I lost my thread. Mothers, what do you want to have me say? Yeah, the importance, the clearing of the lineage that will cause the power of the mother to flow to the daughter. And the moment you have this lineage cleared, if you just tune in and you imagine your mother behind your left shoulder and her mom, if that it's like a tube for me, if that is free and clear and open, you just stand in a different kind of power as opposed to having this knots in there or interruptions in there. This working with your mothers or with your ancestors is never a one-off. So I do like mapping work, constellation work, and you do a bit of it and then you go on with your life and you integrate it and you do another bit of it. It's really, once you start doing this work, it just never stops. There's always another layer of freeing, of healing, really, of healing. So what I would like to do now is to offer you a guided journey. I've brought my drum, and we're going to journey and meet your mothers, just the mothers that we talked about, and ask them for a question, an advice. We ask them for an advice that they might have for you right in this moment. And at the end of the journey, I will stop the recording, so if anybody still wants to share. Oh, Vidya, I see that you have raised your hand. Was there anything you wanted to say?
Hi, Wiebke. Hi. I just wanted to thank you, first of all, for last year's session. I enjoyed it so much. And this year's session has really struck a chord. And my main question is, how does this translate to our mother-in-laws? Because I also have a lot of unresolved issue in that lineage, and I can clearly see that there is a lot that I need to work on. Does this work between mother and daughter? And I understand that mother and daughter is a lineage that cannot be, like, there's no substitution to that. So I understand that's separate, but how does it translate to that
mother-in-law, you said?
Mother-in-law, yes. And the lineage, her mother-in-law, because I actually can see that there's a train wreck there as well. So yeah, could you throw some light on that, if that's possible, please?
Yes. I think if you react to something, it always has also something to do with you. So the issue you have with your mother-in-law, I think it's different. It doesn't translate in the same kind of an energetic flow as it would with your own direct ancestors. It is more an indicator. So what is it in you that reacts to this mother-in-law? And the next question is also, is it up to you to do something about it? I mean, you may see it, but is it up to you to do something about it? Maybe it's not for you,
Okay, so we cannot equate that with the in the same way as we do with our own biological mother.
Interesting question. For me, it's different. It is different because you don't have the same connection. Still, she plays an important role, and she carries part of the feminine archetype. So there is I would always go back on myself and say, so what is it in me that reacts so strongly? You know, what is it in
Yeah, I know. And I mean, I think it's,
equation?
yeah, it's also the culture I come from, where you're often, it's a bit complicated. We're often asked to transplant yourself into your husband's family. So it's quite different in India. Maybe, yeah, I could explore the cultural references to it as well. But yeah, yeah, I get what you mean, that it's not the same as, the lineage of the mother. So yeah, thank you. That was
Yeah,
helpful.
just think about it with your own mother. She held you as a child, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you come into this world with this clear energy field, so to speak, and you are in the field of your mother, and it's as if the child doesn't have any reference other than the constant caretakers. So they take like an imprinting of the mom who cares for the child. And until you grow and you have your own field and you have some of the stuff that you took through the imprinting without knowing it, while your mother-in-law you only met when you were an adult. So this kind of imprinting, it doesn't happen. What does happen, what can happen, is that you have an imprinting from your family of origin and your mother-in-law rubs against that, right?
Yes, yes.
And it is, I would suspect it is, well, it's different to resolve because you can reflect on it. And if things happen too far back in your infancy, it's just more difficult to access and shift and heal things. So maybe she's just helping you to resolve some of your stuff.
Right.
I
Yeah.
know it's easy to say and it's hard to do. I know.
Yeah, yeah. But thank you. That really did. Yeah, especially the part where you said you come in and you have this energy field, and I that was very helpful. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Shamila, did you want to ask something as well? Or is it just your hand? Okay. Okay. So then I'll just pick up my drum and we're going to journey to a sacred inner space, and you're going to meet your ancestors, your mothers. And again, I'm asking our mothers to show up. Can you hear this? Can somebody tell me what? Yeah, okay. So you're sitting on your chair and feel where you're connected to the ground. Just a brief memory where you are right now. closed for a moment. Feel how you sit on your chair, the feet on the ground, and rub your hands a little bit. One deep in-breath, and out in your back. And with this, I close the journey circle and the recording.